Hi. I've had a couple questions, and somebody asked me to do a battery to inverter video, so here we are. Okay. Now my batteries are hooked up with 2-aught wire. This is 2-aught, this is 2-aught. Okay. That hooks up to the top of my battery racks. Okay. And these bus bars over here, these wires are exactly the same length, which is very important. And these bus bars are heavy duty bus bars. These are, this is who made them. Okay. These are their heavy duty version. This is unopened in the box still. And they are nice and heavy duty bars in the back. The bus bars inside of the battery thing are heavy duty. These wires going to the inverters are exactly the same length. The positive and negative, every one of those wires is the same length. And I had some other connections, including a shutoff. But I took that out. And the reasoning for that was, here we go. This one's still brand new in the box. And the reasoning for taking one of these out and doing the 2-aught gauge, I'm sorry, is I used to have it wired with 2 gauge. This is all 2 gauge, and there's a whole pile of it. I just made that pile on the floor just to show you guys. This is all done with 2 gauge, and I kept having an issue with charging my batteries. Okay. You sit there and you have 6 of them in a stack, and you would have unequal charging at the top down to the bottom. It would not be equal, and I've seen the people that have said, oh, you just need to hook your negative at the bottom, and I had somebody comment on my video that I should have my negative hooked at the bottom. Okay, and I was looking into that when I had the 2 gauge hooked up. And I never actually tried it. I was told by somebody else, hey, with as much power as you have going on, you need to change your cable size. And that's when I went to, this is 2-aught. So I went on up and I got to put the 2-aught gauge in. I have not had an issue with my batteries having different voltage since I put the 2-aught in. So, and I took the switch. This switch is not rated for 2-aught gauge wire. I took that switch out also, and I have wiring for it. I think it's with my big batteries with one of these hooked up. But when I switched from 2 gauge to 2-aught gauge, I all of a sudden had enough juice to charge my batteries equally, just hooking up to the top with the bus bars. Them bus bars here, which are made by Klina or something like that. Okay, those are heavy duty enough that they don't cause a restriction. There is no restriction in my wires coming over to the bus bars, and these bus bars on these racks sold by Signature Solar are nice and heavy duty also. So that's why I have mine hooked up at the top. I've had somebody say I should have it at the bottom, and I was before I switched to the 2/0 gauge wire, I was having that issue. With these 2 gauge wires, I was having an issue where I would not be charging my batteries the same. Now that I have the 2/0 wire hooked up, I'm not having that issue. I've called Signature Solar before, I've called Watts 24/7, and I've asked about this issue. And when I swapped away from the 2 gauge wire, this used to be the wire I had hooked to my inverters, and I went to the 2/0 gauge wire, all of a sudden all my batteries were charging equally and discharging equally. When you have a restriction and you have a certain amount of juice coming here and it's not really what it's supposed to be, you are going to have a charging and discharging issue. But if you're putting all of your amperage into these bus bars on your stack of batteries, you are not going to have that same issue. These bus bars are heavy duty. They're made to, and so you have, I have 87, 88 amps coming in. I'm going to have 87, 88 amps all the way to the bottom. And it don't, and mine are charging equally all the time. But when I did have only the 2 gauge wire hooked up, it was not, I had loss between the inverters and the batteries. With the 2/0 gauge wire, I have not had that issue. And I hope this helps the 2 people that commented on my videos. And so I just have my negative coming over to that bus bar, and all 3 inverters coming into that bus bar, and the same on the positive side. I have the positive going in and the positive going to the inverters. And with the heavier wire, I'm not getting a very much voltage difference. What I produce and send to the batteries and what they send when I have a heavier load, it's working really good with the 2/0. And and I've heard, some people are saying I should have that hooked up to the bottom. Well, he said, you should have your negative hooked up to the bottom. So without putting super long wires in, which I didn't want to do, okay, because I'd have to make the positive just as long as the negative. Make sure that all your wires that come to your batteries are the same length. So this is working, and I don't need to put one cable at the bottom, or one cable at the top and one cable at the bottom, because I did go with the heavier wire. The 2 gauge wire, I guess it restricts the flow, and this here is just like with the 2/0 wire, it's just like having a heavy bus bar going all the way from the inverters all the way to the batteries. I guess that's the best way to put it. If you have a nice heavy duty bus bar, and I'll try to get in there, that's a nice and heavy duty bus bar there. if you have a nice heavy duty bus bar that you're hooking your inverters and your batteries up to, if you can see how thick that is, that's a nice and thick heavy duty bus bar. Okay. And then you have, these are nice and heavy duty bus bars too. Oh, the wire at the bottom won't let me push that down. Just trying to get it to where you can see in there. See, that's a nice heavy duty bus bar also. Don't want to stick my fingers in there too close. So, and that's the whole idea. Just don't restrict your flow by, if you have something nice and heavy duty and then you put these lighter weight wires on there, those are going to restrict your flow. So that's why I went with the 2-aught wire, was to where I wouldn't be restricting the flow. Having heavy duty wires is what makes it work. So I hope this helps the 2 people that were asking about it, and answers the question on with the guy that said to hook one of my wires down at the bottom of my bus bar on my battery rack. I'm not, since I've switched to the heavier wire, I haven't had that issue. I was having that issue, and I did talk to Signature Solar and Watts 24/7, and when you are running the lighter wire, you are going to have that issue. It's just, it's not, your bus bars are heavier duty than the wire. Okay? If you look at the end of that wire, your bus bars are heavier duty than this. So your wire is restricting what your bus bars are capable of doing. Anyways, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.